Mine should be a cautionary tale, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it is. I thought it was, but I'm not sure it is. I like to call it Incarceration or How I Learned to Love to Draw. In 2005, I had the distinct honor of being the guest of the county of Arapahoe. They were really great about it. They paid for everything. Food. It was an unlimited kind of a thing. I think the tip was included too, because I never was asked for one. But and it's not important why I was there. Stuff happens, It's not that hard to get put in jail anymore. I'll tell you that much right now. And we've all seen the movies. We think we know what's going on with that. It's like women in cell block C. Well, those are prisons, okay? Number one. It's not like that. County is completely, it's its own world. They don't have all those amenities like they have in Orange is the New Black, okay? They have their little cubicle living. So what you doing, girl? Yeah. No, it's more like, shkong, the thing's closed, multiple lockdowns, boom. And they do that a lot, by the way. They do that a lot. They do it any time of day or night because they're playing canasta or something in the back room. I don't know what they're doing, but they don't want to have to patrol, so they just go, lockdown! God, I wonder what's going on. Well, it's a big pot is what's going on. That's what's happening. So I don't know what it is about me. I don't generally feel fear. Stupidity, maybe. I don't know. That could be. But this is also a tale, I think, about why you should try to not live with fear. I know it's one of those things that just happens. Well, I'm afraid. But if you can, think and try not to. It's a good thing because almost any situation in life you can glean something from as long as you're not like out of your freaking mind with fear. Case in point, a lot of very tall, very angry, very, let's say, people without boundaries, boundaryless women in the cell block there. Let me describe it to you. It's a large public area. So when I first came onto the, what would that be called? Onto the area, as we like to call it. Some of these technical terms I'll explain later for another. You have literally they give you a toothbrush, a pillow, your sheets, and in my particular case, what's called a boat, which is like it looks kind of like a boat, but it's person-sized plastic indentation within which you are to sleep. And the reason they gave me that was because of the overcrowding, and they don't have enough bunks for everybody. So they put you into a cell that has either 2 or 4 beds in bunk bed style. And then since you're the odd girl out, you have a boat which goes on the floor in which you sleep. New girl gets low rung on the totem pole. So carrying your boat stuff, you come on to the scene there, and you see a lot of these ladies walking around in a huge circle, the perimeter of the area. They're walking, not together, they're not walking and talking, they're not walking, they're all solitary walkers, and they are walking, some rapidly, some more than others, and no one's really strolling, though. You can't, like, wow, I never saw that corner before. Not a lot of that going on. And it's amazing. You just think, wow, what is with, that's like tigers pacing in a cage. Oh, it's exercise. They probably are silver sneakers people that walk the mall. And they're just keeping up with okay. So my first cell had 4 people in it. Well, I make the 5th wheel. And me and my boat. And people come and go, on their own schedule, whatever they're in for. And I was amazed at how many women were in there for a long time. I mean, I'm talking about 9 months, 14 months. And At this point, shouldn't you be in prison? I mean, isn't that an upgrade? They have microwaves and. And some of them, for a long time, for things like the accumulation of moving violation tickets or parking tickets, or something that they weren't incarcerated for at the time. In other words, they were given a court date or told to pay a fine, and they didn't, and then suddenly they have that attractive, showing you now the orange jumpsuit and the green of the trustee. Okay. I never got that. I wasn't there long enough to get trustee. I would have, though. God. I'm a doer. I'm a mover and a shaker. So, but I didn't feel any fear going into that situation. I had my boat, after all. I thought I could probably fend anyone off with that sucker. It was pretty big. But no, I got to know my Sallies. That's what they call it, Sallies. As long as I could. There was one that went out almost immediately. She was gone the next day, and so now we begin negotiations for the bunks. The most desired bunk, I guess, is the top bunk. Now, I'm a little weird. I don't get that. I wanted the bottom bunk, and I fought hard for it. And they're like, okay, In jail, as in pretty much any other place you go in life, being like other people, seeming to belong, to conform, is very important. Isn't that weird? I think that's so weird. So I was looked at with a jaundiced eye from the beginning. Bottom bunk, what? The word travels fast. Why didn't you just ask to stay in the boat? God, that's crazy. Okay. Anyway, about the first week I was there, someone noticed that I was, you got a lot of time to kill, right? You don't know what to do. I was doodling. I like to draw. And I was drawing a little cartoon dog that's a character that I made up. He's sort of a little sad sack. He's a puppy, like a basset hound puppy, so too much foot and too much ear, too big a nose and everything, and big eyes. And, I was drawing him. I go. And someone looked, is that Scooby-Doo? I said, well, no, it's not. It's a little puppy. I think I named him Khalil when I was like 14. Like, that's a great cartoon name for a dog. Khalil. I'm rethinking it. But she went, wow, that looks kind of like Scooby-Doo. And I said, no, it doesn't. And she said, could you draw Scooby-Doo? I'd really like it because I'm sending him a letter to my significant other, and I would like to put a picture of Scooby-Doo on it. I said, yeah, I think I could draw Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I think I could. Would you? For you, Sallie, anything. And so I drew a passable rendition of Scooby-Doo. Row. And she was like, that is good. That's really terrific. Oh, wow. That is, I ask a lot of people to draw Scooby-Doo. I said, I bet you do. I just bet you do. But no one has ever done one this good. And I said, well, you're welcome. Thank you. Word goes around fast. She can draw Scooby-Doo. Maybe she can do something else. Can you draw... who was that? The American Girls? American Girls? Was that? It's a line of girls. It's a thinly disguised chauvinistic. Anyway, wasn't familiar with them, nor the Brats, but I did become familiar with them in jail because people are sending out. They got birthday. Life goes on. You're in stir. And on the outs, as they call it, people are going ahead with their lives. They're having birthdays, anniversaries, stuff that you got to send cards for. Why didn't I get a birthday card from Ma? Well, Ma's in prison. So? Now, in jail, you don't get nothing. You get nothing. in order to have something, you have to purchase it from the commissary. I think that's also very strange. There's a commissary in jail. Yeah, I don't know why. And in order to do that, you have to have what they call money on your books. So in other words, there's a place, it's not a real book, I'm sure, that under your name is X amount of dollars, which if you have people to send that to you, it's very nice of them to do so. So if you have any friends that are incarcerated and you're not just really mad at them, do that. Send them $1 for God's sake. Come on. Because they give you nothing. I mean, if you want paper and pencil to write a note home, if you want a stamp to put on that so it will mail all the way to that mailbox, you need to get it from the commissary. There are no amenities in jail. Who knew? I said, well, y'all picking up the tab for everything else? Where's my stationery? Nothing. So I had nothing, right? And another way to get something, I found out pretty early on, was to have something of value for the other inmates. I get Scooby-Doo is one thing, but I needed more than that. That got me some paper, and it got me a pencil. And I wanted colored pencils. And I wanted a sketchbook, and I wanted some ramen, and I wanted some of that Cheese Whiz stuff, and I wanted some other things that I could not get with Scooby-Doo. So there was this one lady she was incarcerated for quite a time. She'd been there for already like 9 months. I couldn't believe it. Sweet lady. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this girl. I mean, she had like 3 kids. She showed me pictures. They looked like they were raised right. They were all sparkly and stuff, and had their hair done with little doodads and whatnot. And I was like, showed me a picture of her ranch. And she had an accumulation of some sort of ticketry. It was one of those like bench warrant things or something. I was going like, my God, they're treating her like a murderess, taking her away from her family. And she was already 9 months in, and she had more time to do. And she came up to me. She wasn't a cellie of mine. And at this point, I'd lost another cellie, so there were only 3 of us in this 4-bunk thing. I went through some changes there. That's another story, perhaps. And you think? Yeah, okay. So she came up to me one day and she said, well, I hear you can draw pretty well, and I've seen some of your stuff. I said, yeah, thank you, yeah, I can. Okay. And that's another thing. You don't want to be, strutting around too much in jail. People hate that. And she asked me if I would do her a big favor. And she was very sad, by the way. She was crying. I forgot to tell you that. She said, I would very much like, if you think you can, I would very much like you to draw a picture of my dog. And I said, well, does he look anything like Scooby-Doo? Because I think I've got one already for you. She said no, and it was a small Chihuahua. Now, I think it was some kind of a mix, but it was a Chihuahua, basically looking-ish-esque dog. She showed me a picture, like portrait, close-up, cropped, like Olin Mills. Yes, we had a session with for Puddles. We had a session. It was a good picture. And she said, and this wasn't the dog's name, for God's sake, but she said, Puddles just got run over by a truck. Puddles is on the Rainbow Bridge. And I was like, well, I'm so sorry. She was really sad about this. She just couldn't stop leaking. She was crying. And she said, I just would like a portrait. It meant a lot to her. For some reason, why to have a portrait from me, I don't know. But because she had that nice picture. It was really good. But I said, well, you know what? I'll try. Now, this is something I knew about myself. I've always liked to draw and doodle and whatnot. And I think like most people, when you're a kid, you find something you like to draw and you just draw it over and over, and you maybe learn how to embellish that particular, but it's always like it'll be a horse's head profile. or this one particular woman's face, cat-eyed. You know, and then you may change that around a little bit, but basically it's not like you can sit down. And I do know this. I knew this about myself as I tried to draw pictures of people, to look at them and say, okay, I'm going to draw a portrait of this person, or I'm going to draw what's really there, realistically or whatever. No. That's a whole other kind of training or something that's required for that. You can see it. And you go, well, obviously the forehead goes like that, and then it goes like that, so I'll just draw that. Oh, that's not even close. So this I knew about myself. So I had my doubts, but here's another thing you do in jail. You try your best. You just get along with people. You say, I'll give it a shot. You don't say no right out the bucket just because. It's not prudent. Not that this little woman scared me. It was just, nothing scared me, actually. The big woman didn't scare me either. Well, no, there was this one woman that she intimidated me a little bit. Her cottage industry, her particular way to get like crayons and ramen and stuff was to braid people's hair. She looked a little crazy. It might have been the one eye. I don't know. So she talked me into it, and I let her braid my hair. It was a bad idea. If anyone here is old enough to remember the movie 10, Bo Derek with the cornrows and the beat. God, was she lovely? Was she gorgeous? She was beautiful, wasn't she? No. That didn't work out like that for me. I have baby fine hair and very little of it. And you start knotting that stuff up in separated little strands. Darling, you got something there, but I don't know what it is. Not beautiful. Oh, and my ears worked with the whole picture. So, and I must admit that I only let her do that because I just thought she might go off a little bit on it. I said, I can always take it out. No, I had to keep it in for 3 days. But then that's another lesson in no fear. I was walking around, I knew what I looked like, I could tell. Yeah, they don't have mirrors, but they shine this one piece of like steel. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, you can tell. A little wavier. But basically I was going, not a good look. Yeah. So, well, maybe that'll keep the big one away that keeps winking at me. I don't know. Turns out she didn't care what I looked like, so. So, yeah, that was an aside, but I had to tell you, you get that picture in your head of me walking around with like 25 little braided pieces of hair hanging off my head, my knobby head, with my ears sticking out. That was great. So I said, I'll try, even though I knew this woman, I knew that I couldn't do realistic portraiture. Now, somewhere in the past, I had heard someone talking about right brain, left brain, upside down. I was never read the book or anything, but there's apparently some sort of a system whereby, or a system, I don't know, you can look at something upside down and draw it. Or was it you look at something and draw it upside down? I wasn't sure, but I knew that, I had to try everything I could try. So I basically turned the Polaroid, or the whatever you kids call it now, upside down and drew it as if it was right side up. I learned how to make colors. I didn't have colored pencils at that point. This was my attempt to arrive and be a success in jail, and I wasn't there yet. But I did learn how to draw color out of a magazine page with Kotex and deodorant. You can make some lovely, lovely inks with that. And come up afterwards and ask me if you need to know. It's a wonderful medium. And I drew this portrait of puddles that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. And that became my business in Arapahoe County Jail. I had all the ramen you could eat. I had colored pencils. I was in the business of making birthday cards for kids and portraits of dead dogs. I didn't even know I had that in me. Thank you, Arapahoe County Jail. No fear.